Some of you already know that one of my favorite branches of philosophy is Stoicism. And today I just want to give you an example about how Stoicism really is not just a lifestyle, but transcends time, transcends history, and how we can apply it in daily life. One of the things I love about the teachings of Robert Smith and eutaptics FasterEFT is that it is a modality, not just a neuroplasticity-based modality, but it's a way of life. It teaches you how to really step in, take personal responsibility, and heal yourself from the past, those impediments, those limiting beliefs, the people maybe that you've had not such good relationship with. So one of the people that comes into mind, I was reading the other day, another principle that Marcus Aurelius, who was an emperor in the Roman times, talks about in his meditations and so forth. And it reminds me that he really did not have an easy life. For some of you who probably already know this, he had a lot of loss and grief in his life, and yet he still persevered. He still was a determined human being. He was determined to see the silver lining of his life, no matter how much it was. And he also went through the plague at that time, right? There was invasions and there was floods and all kinds of hardships and so forth. And it kind of reminds us of our own life. Sometimes in the Western world, we forget that we have a lot of things that we can rely on, people that do support us, but sometimes we forget that we have all this. So when you think about all of these things that I mentioned, you may be able to relate to this as well. A few years ago when I was going through a lot of life transition, I was going through a divorce, and then I was going into a new relationship, which was completely unexpected. And then all of a sudden I found myself making all these decisions. I mean, my life felt, if I could use a metaphor, like it was a bag, and it was just literally dumped, and everything, every aspect of my life was just thrown on the floor, and I had to sort of pick up the pieces and asking myself if I wanted to pick up those pieces. And every time I thought I would have stability, sometimes it felt like there was no stability because I was in transition. And it was an excellent way for me to learn how to really take not only personal responsibility, but know what was my responsibility. And it helped me with a lot of things. I learned so much: what to prioritize, what was important, who was important, what I needed to do next, basing my decisions the best way I could. Eutaptics FasterEFT helped me get there. And I think had it not been for the modality, I don't know where I would be today, honestly. It really helped me shift my mindset into being optimistic when at times I wasn't very positive. We're all human beings. And so in this particular reading about how it just seems like one darn thing after another, we just need to catch our breath, oh, this is happening all over again to us, right? And sometimes we may fall into that attitude. It's also important to remember that this is temporary, that it's just what it is. I have a really good friend of mine, Nicola, who kind of brings that to my attention, right? It's just temporary. And I know this myself. This is something that's a practice in us as well. And to keep the optimism, the hope going. Hope alone doesn't do anything, but working towards knowing that there's always a silver lining. There's always something to learn from turmoil, from loss, from grief, from transition. And it's difficult when you're listening to me right now to say, yeah, but Sandra, I'm going through divorce myself, and my children left, and my identity was with them, and oh, my job is not very good, or here I am at 50 and I don't want to do my career anymore, or I want to go on vacation, I haven't had one, right? Or my kids are struggling with drug addiction, I don't know how to help them. And then we have to deal with the macrocosm of society, right? We've got we've got the viruses, and we've got sicknesses and illnesses and all kinds of things that are happening. We're struggling also with our own stuff. The political and social environments are not always supportive to the way we would like it to be. So again, one thing after another. The Stoics always say that we must become mentally and emotionally prepared for whatever arises in life. Okay, and history shows that there are some pretty resilient people that have demonstrated this. Bringing eutaptics, FasterEFT, into this is actually applying the modality, hiring that upper level practitioner that can help you overcome some of this so that you can have a mindset shift, a paradigm shift to how you're experiencing something, because it is perception. What may be stressful to me and overwhelming may not be that way to you, or maybe you've learned how to cope a different way. Nonetheless, it's important to prepare ourselves. I always see FasterEFT as also a maintenance. It's not just a practice. It's not just knowing about the techniques or just becoming a student and reaching all the levels and knowing in theory and concept, but it's an actual walking the talk. It's having the humility just to sit back and say, I need help, and I'm going to ask for it. I'm going to learn how to tap on myself, not just because of the tapping. We all know that that's not where the healing is. The healing is in going into memory and changing the way we perceive ourselves and thus the world around us. So to wrap it up, the way we prepare for this, if you will, is to daily practice eutaptics FasterEFT, very much aligned with Stoicism. And I also recommend, if you are a student or you're interested in eutaptics, really saturate yourself with, the blogs and listen to podcasts that are going to feed your intellect, feed your mind, feed your soul, so that you can begin to have that mindset shift. It's an accumulation. It's a full-bodied modality, and it takes a lot to be able to step into the mindset shift. It's a practice, right? To just cover the whole bases. What are you doing to help yourself to maintain a more optimistic attitude? It doesn't mean burying your head in the sand. It doesn't mean forgetting that there aren't diseases and illnesses and divorces and political and social problems. It just means looking at it from a different perspective, because we can only have control of our own selves. We can only manage ourselves. What are you doing to empower yourself, to train your mind to think differently, to shift your perspective, shift your mindset? Also, if you haven't checked out my self-empowerment 5-week group, which I'm actually conducting, group A and B, but group A right now is actually full. So I have group B, and that's going to be on Fridays from 12 to 1:30 p.m. for 5 weeks. I'm going to be sharing the link below. So if you're interested, please do sign on. I think it will be a very good foundation, or going back to the basics. Maybe you need to remind yourself of what it is, what areas are you lacking in self-empowerment? Because I know for me that it is a constant. I'm teaching these classes and I'm adapting also, or putting in tapping along with this, but I'm also learning too along with you. Repetition, repetition, repetition. But I teach you how to step into that in a very practical way. It's not going to be overwhelming for you. We have diagrams and exercises, and I think you'll enjoy that. So perhaps this class is for you, and I will be seeing you all around. Take care.